And you can notice the real difference in energy between Paul's individual presentation versus this where he's actually interacting with somebody. That's why I get people, can you send me 2 clips? One where I'm just seeing the way that you speak because they can really get their thoughts together. But when you've got a native speaker shooting things back at you, you want to be able to respond to that naturally. And Paul actually did really well. And I think that the language that he used here was much more accurate compared to when he was doing the clip by himself. Sawadee krap. Today is episode 2 of A Brit Learns Thai. Now, in yesterday's clip I put out, it was Paul from Lancashire in England. And he's been learning Thai. He's married to a Thai lady for many years. He has grown up kids who are Luk Khung. They were born over there. And so they speak Thai, having spoken with the mother as heritage students in the UK. Paul's tried to learn Thai and he's done a great job of it while he's been living in the family and living over there in the UK. And now he's come to a point where he realizes that his development didn't keep up with his kids and he wants to bring it into line and shift his UK Thai to much more normal Thai to the Thai ear. And yesterday I put out some excerpts of a clip, really great clip, of a YouTuber where she actually speaks fluent Thai. She's a foreigner and she interviewed a lot of foreign speakers of Thai. And we can see that nowadays there's this kind of fluency in Thai, but a really broad spectrum of accents. So are Thais going to get more used to these foreign accents? Or is it going to be like it has been before, where unlike English, where you have so many different accents, both internally and with foreigners speaking English, Thai traditionally has had this very slim wiggle room for variance in accent, even internal accents. So whether you're from Isan or from the south or from the north, when you're speaking central Thai, you generally speak central Thai. So where's the point between accent and actually speaking correct central Thai? I'm trying to find that point. I think it's still quite thin, and I think that we should still really focus for native-like prosody, knowing that you're not going to be a native speaker, but using that as a target is a really good idea. Now, today in clip 2, you can see that this was yesterday's clip, Brit Learns Thai, and Paul submitted 2 clips for my intensive speech analysis. And so the first clip is usually a clip of about 60 to 90 seconds of the person introducing themselves. And I say, just speak in Thai. If you need to drop back to English, that's fine because it's all about setting this baseline of where your language is. And so people from total beginners to intermediate to advanced. And so yesterday we had this first clip where Paul from the UK was introducing himself, and there were some really great learning in there. Today's clip's really fascinating in that you really see a dynamic shift between the first clip and the second clip. So what I'm going to do is play the first clip for you first so you can get that baseline of Paul speaking by himself, and then we're going to jump into the second clip with Khun Pong.
เรามีลูกสาวที่เป็นหมอแล้วก็เรามีลูกชายด้วยเขาอยู่ประเทศเดนมาร์กเขาทำงานด้วยเขาเป็นนักวิศวกรเคมีผมพูดภาษาไทยนิดหน่อยผมคิดว่าคนไทยไม่เข้าใจผมเพราะว่าสามเนียงผมไม่ดีคำศัพท์ผมเล็กน้อยด้วยครับผมเอาเรียนเอกผมอยากพูดดีกว่าผมเอาคุณเจให้ผมช่วยขอบคุณมากนะครับ
And so now I'm going to play in full the second clip where Paul is speaking to Khun Pong.
ปองเขาคุยภาษาไทยครับผมเพราะว่าผมต้องฝึกพูดภาษาไทยครับ
ดีมากค่ะจะพยายามคุยภาษาไทยกับคุณ
ขอบคุณมากนะครับคุณปองวันนี้ไปไหนมา
วันนี้ไปเดินที่วิมเบิลดันคอมมอน
สนุกไปเดินไหมครับ
ไปเดินสนุกมาก
อากาศเป็นอะไรครับ
อากาศหนาวมากและมีน้ำแข็งอยู่บนหญ้า
ครับอากาศหนาวมากนะครับคุณพองคุณทำงานที่ไหนนะครับ
ฉันทำงานในโรงเรียนเป็นผู้ช่วยครู
เป็นผู้ช่วยครูไหมครับ
เป็นค่ะ
สนุกไหมครับ
สนุกกับงานมากชอบเด็กๆ
ปองขอบคุณมากนะครับ
ด้วยความยินดีค่ะพ Paul
Okay, that was really fun, and I like the energy in that clip there. You can really notice a difference between the first clip and the second clip, and it's interesting. Some fascinating things actually happening with Khun Pong's Thai as well. I don't know how long she's been in the UK, but we might tap into that as well as we go through this. Now, yesterday with Paul's clip, I don't want to rehash a lot of the stuff that we did because we did a really deep dive into Paul's, but I want to review some of the key points. Paul comes from Lancashire. He's from the north of England. And so what happens there, it's similar to an American accent where, say, I as an Australian speaker, I will say can't and bath, and he will say bath. So we have this to shift within English. And so yesterday we saw this happening within Paul's Thai. And so, for example, the word tang, subconsciously that shifts to an so it becomes tang. And then that with a tone shift or a tone envelope from English sort of laid over the top, it turns into tang. So tang becomes tang, and that becomes a totally different word in Thai. So one of the key points were, let's shift this back to an and really get a delineation, because and are totally different vowels and make totally different meanings within Thai. Yesterday we had the classic nga, so tamngan became tangan with Paul. And so we looked at how do we just push that back and drop the tongue back. So tamngan. We saw issues with vowel length. So for example, Thai versus Thai. And we saw, of course, the issue of tones coming across from English. And so these sort of tone paradigms or sound paradigms from English sentences, when they're superimposed above Thai sentences or over Thai sentences, they totally jack up the tones of the Thai, making your Thai really hard to understand. And then, of course, we saw aspiration. So aspiration, both aspirated versus non-aspirated or unaspirated at the beginning of syllables. And then also within Thai, anything that's a dead syllable. So anything ending with a P, T, or K. So for example, mup, mut, muck. You don't say mup, mut, muck. So these aspirated endings, you want to cut off with a glottal stop right at the point where your mouth is intersecting with itself. So muck when the tongue hits the back of your throat, mut when your tongue hits the palate, or mup when your lips close together. I'm not going to rehash that stuff. I might refer to them in here because I hear a few of those things happening, but I won't go into the same detail. But if I see something new here, I'll pick up on it. And I'll just mention this first too. If you want to get one of these done for your language, I do these for Thai, Chinese, and Indonesian. You can just come into J Academy. This is actually at blogcrackinglanguage.com/speech analysis. And you can actually see yesterday's clip as well as a sample analysis there. And you can even download it to see what it's going to look like. And so what we do after this analysis, I'll put a roadmap out for how you should be doing your language learning, what exercises you can do to improve either alone or with a teacher. And you get really a roadmap for your language, how you can hit the goal that you're looking for within the next 3, 6, 12 months. And right now, if you use the coupon code SPEAK TO ME, you will get 10% off the price, whatever it is. And you can either get one session or a multi-session package, which is 3 of these speech analyses. So you can time them out across the year if you want. And you can use these as your guideposts as you're learning either by yourself or with a teacher. Now, let's jump into the analysis. Here we go. I'm going to zoom in here. Again, we're using this spectral image where you see a lot of yellow here. That's when the voice is activating. This is a voice print of the vocal cords, and you'll be able to see this is the bottom portion of the voice and this is the top portion of the voice. So we can actually also see pitch contours you see in here if we use this mode. So this is a really great tool for analyzing especially tonal languages. Let's go.
Pong kokoi pasatai kap pong.
Okay, let's have a listen to that again.
Pong kokoi pasatai kap pong. Pong kokoi pasatai kap pong.
Okay, I think that is Pong ko kuiภาษาไทยกับผม. So Pong is the name of his wife. could we speak in Thai together? But let's have a look here. I think there's some interesting things happening with the rhythm.
ฟังเขาคุยภาษาไทย
Okay, so I think in English, Pong, can we speak? Can we speak? Pong, can we speak? Can we speak? This is like the rhythm. And so that rhythm from English has probably come over the Thai.
ฟังเขาคุยภาษา
Pong, kui, instead of ha, kui, ha, kui. Have a listen.
ฟังเขาคุยภาษา
So this ha is really, really short. I want to show you here in my tone tool. So if you come to Tone Assist at crackinglanguage.com, these are all totally free. You can jump in and do this with me. I'll type in the word ka, and you can see it there. That's ka. This is a long vowel. Ha. Okay, it needs to be dragged out, and this is a high class, and so it's got this rising tone here. It's a 2-1-4. So ka. So if I jump to my vowel compass, and here I have my vowels here, it's this vowel. It almost sounds like it's a really short version. Kakui, but it's actually ka. And then the word kui. Let's have a look here. I'll put it here. So ka and then kui. Okay. So by the way, if you see this here, you'll see that there are no spaces here. But the way I've built this parser, it will actually know what a Thai word is. It's pretty good at parsing them out. And so you can see that this ka kui with no spaces is actually broken down here into two different words. So you've got ka and kui. Okay, so usually they're syllable blocks. Ka, kui. You can see kui here is this middle portion of my voice. And then it just drops down naturally at the end. I'm not forcing it down, so I'm not saying kui. Okay, that's a forcing. That would be a stiff tone where you're actually using muscle action to push the voice down. This is more of just a natural decay of the voice because no tone marker traditionally means normal voice. So kui, ha, kui, ha, kui, ha, kui. Now listen to Paul say this.
ฟังเขาคุยภาษา
Ha, kui. And I gotta say, have a listen to this.
เขาคุย
This kui gets into dangerous ground.
คุย
A Thai listening to that might flinch. So we have sala u, hu. We have sala a. And we have sala oi. If you say kui, it means chat. If you say koi, like koi, gradually. If you say ka and then it basically means male genitalia, but it's really crass and has the same social impact as if you were to drop the C word in English. Now, I know that Paul doesn't mean this here, but you have to be really careful with your vowels here. So the word to chat is kui, u, and then shifting to a Y. Kui. Can we chat? Ha, kui.
คุยภาษาไทยครับ
Phasa Thai. Yesterday, I had another guy doing one of these speech analyses, and he had this issue too with the word language. In English, we have language. So the lang is the accented part of it, and guage sort of drops off. And so we get this rhythm to the language. But in Thai, phasa, it feels kind of weird if you're using English rhythms, but you've got to feel okay with stretching out long vowels in Thai. So the word language, phasa Thai, it's this long vowel. So have a listen to Paul saying it now.
ภาษาไทย
Phasa Thai. It's like language Thai, phasa Thai. It's not that. Phasa Thai.
ภาษาไทยครับผม
Okay, and then this one here, have a look here. Now, Paul was pretty good yesterday with his aspirated versus unaspirated, but have a look.
ไทยครับผม
Okay, so the word here is คุยภาษาไทยกับผม Okay, so I want to show you where we're looking at. So ขอคุยภาษาไทยกับผม Okay, so I'm going to split this syllable out here. So ขอคุยภาษาไทยกับ Okay, this is gap. It's a low tone, short, dead. Gap. This gokai, if I come to the consonant compass here, you'll see
กอไก่
gokai. Gokai here, the throat is closed. Gokai as opposed to kokwai. Let's look at kokwai.
คอควาย
Kokwai and even
ขอไข่
kokai also has the throat open.
คอควาย
These low class here were traditionally voiced, but they've lost their voicing in Bangkok Thai.
คอควาย
But you can see the throat is open and you're getting a k versus a k. Okay, so listen to the difference. Ga, ka, ga, ka. They mean totally different things. So now let's go back to Paul's speech and have a listen to this.
ขับพอมขับพอมขับพอม
He's saying kapom, kapom. I'm thinking that even though he reads Thai, and I know he reads Thai, he's probably visualizing maybe a K, and you can even hear it and see it here in the spectrogram. I predict this is going to be the K. Yeah, so you can see the K is happening. It's this aspirated, and then you're getting the rest of the up. So instead of cup, it's turning to cup, and it's pushing the tone up as well. Kapom.
ขับขับขับขับขับขับขับขับ
So it almost sounds like sawadi cup, that cup. And then pom should be back down low. So kapom. But have a listen to this.
ขับพอมขับพอมขับพอม
Pom. And you can even see here, kapom. It's got this falling tone cascading down as well. So again, if I jump into my tones here, kapom, you're down low in your voice, kapom, and this gap and pom almost lead into each other down in this low region of your voice. ขอคุยภาษาไทยกับผม
เพราะว่าพอมตรง
Okay, yesterday we had this one. เพราะว่า
เพราะว่า
Have a look. Now, this is originally Khmer word. So I'm going to write the word เพราะ and it's a short vowel. Even though you've got all these letters here, it's short and you can see this high tone. And then ว่า เพราะว่า เพราะ you need to cut it off in your throat. You need a glottal stop. A glottal stop in there when you're drinking the water. Okay, เพราะว่า it's that same action. Now listen to Paul saying it.
เพราะว่า
It almost sounds like one word. Prawa, P-R-E-W-A. I don't know.
เพราะว่าพอมตรงฝึกพูดภาษาไทย
Pum. We looked at yesterday. Pom versus pum. So there's a vowel shift from this R to O, short O, that needs to come between vowels. It's not pom, it's pum. If you say pom, it means skinny. Pum, I for a male.
พอมตรงฝึก
And then tong, you can see here.
ตรง
Tong. It should be tong, falling tone. Paul's saying it like no tone marker. So tong. I've put these here so you can actually click the tone markers in and see how it affects them. So no tone marker, tong. So let's listen to Paul's.
ตรง
Tong. So that just sounds like this. Tong.
ตรงฝึก
Okay, and then again, Fuk, I can imagine that he's thinking subconsciously, I need to practice. And so he says, Fuk, where again, if we look at the Thai word here, Tong, Fuk. Okay, so Fuk. It's this vowel down low. It's short, it's dead. Tong, Fuk. Down low. So now listen, instead of tong fuk, listen to the tone here.
ตรงฝึก
Tong fuk. It almost sounds southern. Have a look at this. If I switch to southern Thai, yeah, you can see here, tong fuk. If you were in the south, that's what the tones would like. Again, I've built these into my tool here so you can actually swap between different regions of Thai. So that would be tong fuk if you were in Isan, but we are in Bangkok and we're looking at standard Thai, so it's tong fuk. The spelling never changes, but the tone, pitch contours, and nature of the voice do.
พูดภาษาไทย
Okay, yesterday we looked at this, so I don't want to spend time on it.
พูด
He's saying it poot where he's got like the tongue down low. It sounds almost like a French oo. It's not. It's got to be further back. Poot, poot, poot with your tongue high. Poot, okay? It's not poot. It's poot.
พูดภาษาไทย
ภาษาไทย
ดีมากค่ะ
Okay, that's wonderful. ค่ะ
จะพยายาม
จะพยายาม One thing I would say, and this is a beautiful specimen of language, have a look at the jotan. This goes to show you there is no such sound as J in Thai. This is a jotan.
จับ
There's no voicing in there. It's just ja, ja, ja. You're doing this unaspirated. So the sound starts as soon as your tongue releases, but not before. If I was saying J, my voice is activating. This is not that. This is an unaspirated, unvoiced. Ja.
จะพยายาม
จะพยายาม
คุยภาษาไทย
Kui. And again, you can see this beautiful kui.
คุย
Look at this. That's the aspirated K. Kui as opposed to a gokai. But this is really good. Kui.
คุยภาษาไทยกับคุณ
Okay, and so here we have the gup said correctly.
กับ
Gup with. Let's listen to those two together. So what I've done here, this is Khun Pong, the native Thai speaker, and this is Paul saying the word gup. Okay, have a listen to the two. I think this is a really good illustration.
ครับครับครับครับครับครับครับครับครับครับ
Versus,
ครับครับครับครับครับครับ
okay, you see cup and you can see his aspiration here. So gup cup.
ครับครับครับครับครับครับครับครับครับครับครับ
You can really hear that difference there. So you're wanting to aim for this, and look, this is really short. As soon as the throat releases, the sound comes, but it's not a G, okay? And it's definitely not this aspirated K.
ไอครับ
ดีมากค่ะจะพยายามคุยภาษาไทยกับคุณ
ขอบคุณมากนะครับ
Okay, that was nice. ขอบคุณมากนะครับ. We did that yesterday as well. So we'll go to the next little bit.
คุณปอง
Okay, so this is interesting. Her name is Pong, and if we look at the spelling is Bo Mai E Ong. Okay, Pong, Pong, Pong. So it's low tone because it's got this Mai E. If I take the tone marker off, it would be Pong, and if I put Mai Tor on it, it would be Pong, Pong. These are different words, different meanings in Thai. And I know it's coming across from English because he's saying, oh, Khun Pong, what do you think? And that would be normal. If I say, Khun Pong, what do you think? As a non-Thai speaker, it might feel weird. As a Thai speaker, that actually feels okay. But it should be Khun Pong, not Pong. Pong, correct? Pong, incorrect.
คุณปองวันนี้บายนะ
Khun Pong.
คุณปองคุณปอง
Falling tone. So we need to say Khun Pong. Regardless of the tone or the nature of how you're saying it, the actual tone is not going to change in Thai.
ปองวันนี้บายนายหมา
Wani, we talked about that yesterday, how the tone, it sounds almost Isan when you're saying instead of ni.
วันนี้บาย
Wani, it should be wani.
นายหมา
But the interesting thing is on this opla, pai nai ma.
บายนายหมา
Okay, so let me type that here. Wani, today, pai nai ma. Where have you been? So wani, I mentioned if that were Isan, I'll go to Isan, that would be wani. Actually, muni, if it was the correct Isan word, but wani, the tone of ni in Isan is this ni, but in Bangkok Thai, it is wani, pai nai. Okay, look at this, pai nai ma. So there are a couple of things going on here with both the tone and the bopla.
วันนี้บายนายหมา
Okay, pai nai ma. He's doing ma, which is dog, and it's probably because of the English question sound paradigm that we put over sentences. But it should be pai nai ma. But the interesting thing is in the bopla.
วันนี้บายนายหมาบาย
Can you see this portion here? This is sounding like a B. That's your B. that shouldn't be there. And that shows me that possibly when Paul was learning Thai, he may have learned from Paibun script where you have a BP. And so he's actually pronouncing the B in the BP. And you can see his voice activated down here. Let's have a look at the consonant compass. We can see this bo bla down here.
ปอปลา
So bo bla has no voice activated, okay? No voice. As opposed to bo bai mai.
บอใบไม้
Bo bai mai, you can see I've got this yellow flashing here. That's the voice activated.
ปอปลา
Bo bla.
บอใบไม้
Bo bai mai, voice activated. And bo bai mai is not like an English B. Both dodek we did yesterday and bo bai mai. These originated from N with the throat stopped. So N with a cold. So no, do, 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 do. That's where your do came from, not d from the teeth. And B in Thai, bo bai mai, was originally an M. So ma, ma, ma with the throat closed off at the beginning. So it's a pre-glottalized B. So it's ba, ba, ma, ba, ba, ba. That's your ba, where it's activated. It's not like in English where you'll say b, b, where it's really sharp. It's not like that. It's ba, it's soft because it's coming from a pre-glottalized M. But your voice cannot activate
ปอ
at
ปลา
all with ba bla. You hear it's clean. By nai ma. So now have a listen to this.
วันนี้ไปไหนมาวันนี้ไปไหนมาวันนี้ไปไหนมา
It should be วันนี้ไปไหนมาวันนี้ไปไหนมา
วันนี้ไปไหนมา
วันนี้ไปเดินที่วิมเบิลดัน
Okay, วันนี้ไปเดินที่ Wimbledon. If you're a Thai, you probably wouldn't use this
ที่
T. You just say วันนี้ไปเดิน Wimbledon. That I think that for foreigners, there's this thing with Thais where they sort of put these words in. T is one of them. Where is it? You ti nai, where a Thai would actually say you nai. So a lot of the time you can drop the T. Sometimes you'll use dong instead. You dong nai. Where is it? You nai. Where is it? You ti nai. All of them are okay, but I kind of feel like she's putting this in because she knows Paul is a learner of Thai. So by dern ti Wimbledon, she's being very careful to say every word and throwing in words that she assumes Paul knows. So T is this preposition word.
ที่วิมเบิลดันคอมมอน
Wimbledon Common. Okay, so she's enunciating every word. Today they went walking around Wimbledon Common.
สนุกไปเดินไหมครับ
Okay. สนุกไปเดินไหมครับ
สนุกไปเดินไหมครับ
So Paul's saying, was it fun walking around? You first of all, on structure, if you wanted to ask him, you say เดินสนุกไหม เดินสนุกไหม But he said สนุกไปเดินไหมครับ Was it fun going for a walk? Maybe he's done a word-for-word translation from English. So go for a walk, ไปเดิน สนุกไปเดิน. But it's actually เดินสนุกไหม เดิน, you put the verb first, so เดิน to walk, and then สนุกไหม And yeah, he said สนุกไหมครับ. I guess you could say it like that. It's a little unnatural because if this is your wife, you're not going to be putting ครับ at the end of every sentence. You just say เดินสนุกไหม. Was it fun? But I get it.
สนุกไปเดินไหมครับ
ไปเดินสนุกมาก
And you can see that she instantly swapped it around. ไปเดินสนุก.
ไปเดินสนุก
And you can see here, she's swapped it around, so it sounds more natural. ไปเดินสนุก. So ไปเดิน is the action that they did. ไปเดิน Wimbledon สนุก.
ไปเดินสนุกมาก
Whoa. This is really interesting. Now, I don't know how long Khun Pong has lived in the UK for, but have a look at this. This is the word ma, very. So I'm going to write it here. The word ma. Okay, so we've got mo, go, ma, ma. This gokai we learned yesterday needs to get cut off in your throat, and I'll show you here. So as soon as you say
กอ
ma,
ไก่
you have this cutting across and nothing else should come out. No mark. But I suspect, but one, because of where she lives, and she may hear this all the time. It's this quirk of Northern English where they will do a glottal stop, but often then pop it at the end. So if I say the word pick, And so you get a glottal stop, then the aspiration. Listen to what's happening here. That's affecting her Thai.
มาก
And maybe she's doing it because she's trying to over enunciate for Paul and knowing this is his language.
มาก
But you get this, it's almost an echo on the K. Okay? That should not be there. It just should be มาก
มาก
อากาศเป็นอะไรครับ
Okay, I had to listen to a few times when I heard this.
อากาศ
And we're getting this thing creeping in from yesterday. The word is akad. Okay, so I'll type it in here. We've got a long vowel a and then go akad. Now this is sense that's one word, so let's put it there. So I'm going to split the syllables up. Akad, akad. We can see akad, akad, akad. You need to stretch this out. But what's happening is Paul's Northern English accent is kicking in where the R turns into A and it shortens as well. So akad, akad, di, good weather becomes agad, agad. And he's sort of saying this like a G in English, not like a kokai. So it should be akad, akad. Akad means air from akasha in Sanskrit or weather by extension.
อากาศเป็นอะไรครับ
Akad.
อากาศ
And then next,
เป็นอะไรครับ
ben alai. So in English, we'd say, what was the weather like? You wouldn't say, what is the weather in Thai? You would say, อากาศเป็นอย่างไรบ้าง อากาศเป็นยังไงบ้าง How was the weather?
อากาศเป็นอะไรครับ
Here, ben alai krap was said really well.
เป็นอะไรครับ
But we wouldn't say it in Thai. We would say, อากาศเป็นยังไงครับ But he's actually pronounced the word ben alai krap really well. Ben alai krap means, what is it? So I could say, อันนี้เป็นอะไรครับ What is this? This is a pen. อันนี้คืออะไร อันนี้เป็นอะไรคือ and ben mean to be. But when you're asking about a state of things, you would use the word how. อย่างไร ยังไง So อากาศเป็นยังไง
อากาศหนาวมาก
So it was really cold. อากาศหนาวมาก
และมีน้ำแข็ง
Okay, and you can hear this salat at.
และมี
It's slightly forward here. I wonder where in Thailand Khun Pong has come from, but la, it sounds a little bit forward.
และมีน้ำแข็ง
มีน้ำแข็ง
อยู่บนหญ้า
อยู่บนหญ้า on the grass.
ครับครับ
Kap, Paul's claps are really good, and you can see there's no aspiration at the end.
ครับ
He's catching it really well.
ครับ อากาศหนาวมาก
Okay, and here you get akad, it's akad.
อากาศหนาวมากนะครับ
Now Mark said that really well. It was really cold.
คุณพอง
Okay, Khun Pong, again, remember her name is Khun Pong. Pong. Mang Pong means scorpion. Okay, so Khun Pong, not Khun Pong. Pong, 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 Pong. So this is the correct one. Pong.
คุณพองคุณทำงานทีหน่อยนะครับ
Tamngan Tina. He actually said that pretty well.
ทำงานทีหน่อยนะครับ
He didn't get the g in like yesterday. So this flow is actually pretty good. So where do you work?
ทำงานฉันทำงานในโรงเรียนเป็น
Notice that she's really overemphasizing her rongrian, making sure that she rolls very nicely for Paul.
ในโรงเรียน
So you can hear this. Okay. Traditionally in Thai, T-A-I, especially in Thailand, there was no r, but this was thought of a prestige sound, so it was brought in r instead of lo. So if you're up at the north, rongrian would be hong hien or hong hien. So it's this h sound. If you're coming down further, Ayutthaya, Bangkok, and down south, it would be le, more like an L, rongrian. But here, yeah, if you're speaking politely, you would rongrian. But just understand that most Thais, when nobody's looking, probably won't rongrian. They'll just say rongrian.
โรงเรียนเป็นผู้ช่วยครู
Ben pu chui kru. So I'm a teacher's helper or teacher assistant.
เป็นผู้ช่วยครูไหมครับ
So you can see that Khun Pong has said kru.
ครู
Okay.
ครูครูครูครูครู
Kru. And you can see this natural falling off of just the common tone. It's not kru, it's kru. just falls off naturally. But because then he puts it back into an English sentence,
เป็นผู้ช่วยครูไหม
you're a teacher's assistant, then this gets put over the kru.
เป็นผู้ช่วยครูไหม
Kru, ผู้ช่วยครู teacher's assistant, not ผู้ช่วยครู
ครูไหมครับ
เป็นค่ะ
เป็นค่ะ yes I am.
สนุกไหมครับ
สนุกไหมครับ and again
สนุกไหมครับ
his my is very pronounced.
ไหม
The word my, if you're looking at this question word my, this is the correct word to write if you're writing it formally, but actually it often gets written like this, my, and it's pronounced with a rather than so สนุกไหม my, it's more of a rather than I. It's an irregular pronunciation, just like the word my is not my, it's my. These are two words where you get this a kind of shift, and they're the only two words in Thai. If I can think, maybe there are others, let me know in the comments. But if you want to use this version, which is very normal, you'd say สนุกไหมครับ 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 Was it fun?
สนุกไหมครับ
สนุกกับงานมาก
สนุกกับงานมาก It was really fun, or I really enjoy my work. สนุกกับงาน literally means fun with work. I really like the work that I do.
ชอบเด็ก
ชอบเด็กๆ I like kids.
ๆ ชอบเด็ก
ปองขอบคุณมากนะครับ
คุณปองขอบคุณมากนะครับ so thank you คุณปอง
ปองขอบคุณมากนะครับ
and his tone was getting more normal there for her name. Could have gone down a little lower, but it wasn't this bong, it was bong. That's probably because in English we'd say คุณปอง thanks a lot for that.
ปองขอบคุณมากนะครับ
ๆ ด้วยความยินดีค่ะ
Okay, so ด้วยความยินดีค่ะ this is a very polite way of saying you're welcome.
ด้วยความยินดีค่ะ
A lot of the time, you maybe wouldn't need the doi if just in normal conversation, you could just say yindi ka or doi kwam yindi. It was with pleasure.
พอละด้วยความยินดีค่ะ พอละ
Okay, so this is maybe an in-joke, and I can guess a couple of reasons why. One, because Thais would say pon or Paul, okay? But she's really making an effort to enunciate the L.
พอละพอละพอละ
But you can see also she's got like a cheeky sound in her voice, because let's go back to see how Paul said this.
ปองขอบคุณมากนะครับ
Pong, ขอบคุณมากนะครับ. If you were speaking with this level of politeness in Thai, you would always say Khun Pong if you were talking to her, or whatever the prefix is that you're using. But just to say Pong ขอบคุณมากนะครับ, it's almost like a syntax error, because this whole conversation is done with a really high degree of politeness, but then not to use the word Khun Pong, ขอบคุณมากนะครับ. It's kind of weird because it's very polite, but you didn't use kun. And so here she's intentionally not saying Khun Paul, she's saying Paul, because he didn't use kun either, I suspect. Let me know if you're watching this. So here he says Pong, and so she drops her kun as well. You want to drop your kun? I'll drop my kun.
ปองขอบคุณมากนะครับ
ด้วยความยินดีค่ะ พอละ
Okay, that was a lot of fun. And you can notice the real difference in energy between Paul's individual presentation versus this, where he's actually interacting with somebody. That's why I get people, can you send me 2 clips? One where I'm just seeing the way that you speak, because they can really get their thoughts together. But when you've got a native speaker shooting things back at you, you want to be able to respond to that naturally. And Paul actually did really well. And I think that the language that he used here was much more accurate compared to when he was doing the clip by himself. I hope this was useful for you. Don't forget to come in and have a play around with these tools, and of course get a copy of Cracking Thai Fundamentals, the book, if you haven't got it already, because we go into many of these things, and now these tools, they're all totally free, complement what you're going to be learning there, and you can really nail your tones, your vowels, your consonants, and just your prosody in general, as well as your writings. Whatever's in here, I can click this button and you can actually practice writing it here as well. You can practice looking at it in different fonts. I've tried to put the tools together that I know people need when they're learning languages like Thai, Vietnamese, Chinese. So you can use this, abuse this, or don't abuse it, just use it. And I hope that it helps you learn Thai. Get a copy of Cracking Thai Fundamentals and come in and get one of these intensive speech analyses, because whether you're a beginner or you're intermediate or even advanced, it's going to be really help you. It's like getting surgery on your vocal cords, on how you're delivering language. And maybe I'll be able to identify some things that your teachers, not being English speakers as well, or speaking other languages, not knowing what's going on in your mouth, couldn't pick up on. I'm Stuart J. Raj. I'll see you on the other side.